I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, thanks everyone for being here tonight. See a lot of new faces here tonight, and that's surely what we like to see. Tonight, let's take a roll call. We have everyone present except John Daniel is out of town tonight. And then you have before you the agenda. And everything okay with everyone that's on the agenda tonight? Okay, and so the agenda's before us, and there's no presentations. Before we get into public comment tonight, just a couple of words that I would like to just share. Most of you appreciate a lot of emails and phone calls that we've had today. I know most of you have heard about my best friend that passed away at 6 Mile and Pontiac Trail in a tragic automobile accident this yesterday around 3:45. He was a great guy. He was part of our farm. Most of them, everybody in this town, just about everybody in this town, but thousands of people knew him as Hillbilly Joe, as we call him. He was a great guy from the state of Kentucky, and has meant to a lot of people, and he's touched a lot of people's lives. If you could read the emails, we received over 400 emails from just people in this community that have been supportive to my family, and I can't thank the people of Salem Township of their support. But Joe will be forever. He was my best friend. We talked every morning at 7:30, and he was a great guy in this community and loved people and loved children. And if you could just read the Facebook pages and people of the lives that he touched. But we do know where he's at, and we thank God for his life. So again, thanks for your prayers and support. And the other thing tonight, it'll be almost a year, November the 20th, before this board took office, and when we were sworn in to do the duties of Salem Township. And this month being a month of Thanksgiving, I just would like to thank this board that sits here at the table. They've showed leadership and had many discussions. Johnny D at the end, I can remember one of his biggest, I've never seen John get mad, but when it became the zoning issues of this, not zoning, but assessing issues of the township, Johnny Daniel was the leader of helping us, I believe, get the right person to handle our assessing problems that we've had in the past here in the township. So I appreciate his leadership and are thankful for his standing up for that. And then TJ more than volunteered to be a liaison person to our planning commission, and she's taken the time and the effort to look over the material, which there's so much to make sure that the ordinances and stuff are up to date, and I appreciate her willingness to be a part of that. Then Mr. Converse, our treasurer, the tax season, when we first got in here, what a task it was to try to make sure that was out on time. And Dale, just want to thank you in front of the people here tonight, your efforts on that, and that they went out successfully, at least twice now, right? Yeah, twice. Then our clerk here, Mr. Winsley, and 2 elections. I haven't heard anybody say we had any problems with our elections, and he got through that, and I surely appreciate that. Then we have Mary Beth Schmidt, and Mary Beth has taken a lot on with our newsletter, and I just appreciate it. I have many people, and I mean many people, that come up and say they really appreciate the information and the quality and the reading of our newsletter, and they don't need to be thanking me, they need to be thanking her. because she has been a great asset to make that happen, and also our website. And then Mr. Trent, who's been around forever. You know, and I've had people, I mean, this, again, I've had people say, well, you know, Mr. Trent, I think he's running the township. And I want to make it perfectly clear to people tonight, people who are watching on video, this township is not run by a board, as many of you think maybe it is, but it's run by the citizens who live here. We take very much pride in listening to the people in the community of what is going on here, and that's what we need to do as a township and as a board. And every one of us that are sitting up here have one vote of what goes forward, and we do value your input and what goes on here in this township. And I appreciate David's leadership that has been here. I have to tell you that when we first came in here, there was very little information about any of us who have never had any experience of any public office. But David has stepped up to the plate and make it perfectly clear, and has helped us lead this township forward. And I want to thank him publicly tonight for doing that. So anyway, Mr. Plato, I also would like to thank you also for bringing us up to date on the legal issues that a lot of us were not aware of, and keeping us informed. I want to thank our office staff who, when people walk into this town hall, we want a different atmosphere. We want to have an atmosphere of helping the citizens that come in here. We want to have a cheerful attitude. We want to have people listen to the people that come in here, and if we don't know the answer, we want to get it to you, even if it's not our job. Our office has, I believe, has turned that page where we want to help people in this township. And lastly, I would like to thank my beautiful wife for putting all the wonderful desserts and refreshments. I had somebody ask me, you know, why does she do this? And I said, you know, I've been married to her for 39 years, and she has the gift of hospitality. And I just, you know, I appreciate the stuff that she, and I know you do too. I have many of you people say. And I say, I say fine, except when I see my checkbook. And so I yell at her and say, but I do appreciate her, and thank you, Sherry, for coming. So, moving forward, I'm going to be accused of being some kind of a preacher, and I don't want that to happen. We need to get on with our business here tonight. So at this time, we'd like to have the public comment. Linda.
Tonight you have on your agenda to adopt the proposed ordinance. This ordinance is radically different in one section in Article 60 than what was reviewed by the public with the Planning Commission. You have a new section all about noise. You have the maximum permitted sound levels by receiving zoning district. You have exceptions that don't include farming. They don't include the ability to use a chainsaw on your property. They don't have, for the hunters, the ability to sight their guns, because the level is 50 decibels in the evening and 55 during the day. I'm not a sound expert, but I know how to use Google. And so I picked up multiple charts from multiple organizations to find out what normal sound is. Right now I'm speaking probably between 50 and 65 decibels to you. I'm speaking louder than I normally would. That can't happen anymore if you adopt this ordinance tonight at the property line. My mother suffers from rheumatoid arthritis, and my parents have a whole house generator so that when there's no power, she can survive in the humidity or in the cold. Their home is on the northern side of their property line, and should another home be built on one of the parcels to the north of them, you have potentially sicked a neighbor on them in the future, because that generator runs at greater than 50 and 55 decibels when Detroit Edison fails to provide power. And during the election, I'm sure most of us in this room read the literature from A New Beginning. And I guess I don't understand why we would include in our ordinance a mechanism that allows one neighbor to come in and complain about things that are routine in Salem Township and have been for decades, and basically to have retaliation potentially because of noise. And so I would like to see this board tonight not adopt this ordinance because of this section and send it back to the planning commission so that this can be worked so that there's something reasonable in the proposed ordinance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Someone else? Fine.
I sort of agree with Linda, what she's saying about the noise ordinance. There has to be some fine lines adapted in it, because we have a neighbor, as you know, you and I have spoken quite a few times, shooting off 50 caliber black powder guns, and it completely disrupts the whole area. And a 50 caliber gun is, I don't know if anybody's ever heard one go off, but it rattles the windows. When you have it constantly going for like 6-7 hours a day, and he's not breaking the law. So if you're gonna pass this certain kind of ordinance, noise ordinance, there's something that has to be else to be put in this thing, as far as target shooting, farmland, whatever, but basically I think it's gun shooting in our township.
I would like to add to that he also shoots off an AR-15 on a very regular basis, and a 38 right behind my fence when I'm out with my dog.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
You know, I'm not against hunting at all, and I'm their neighbor also. And this has been going on for a year since he moved in.
2 years.
2 years. There's a difference between sighting in your gun and just target shooting all day long. You know, he drives my dogs nuts. They cower underneath the laundry room sink every time he shoots. So it's not just a one-time incident.
And I'm afraid to go in my backyard and clean up after my dogs because he's out there shooting. He's infringing on my rights to use my property.
Gary, why don't you go talk to this guy tomorrow?
I've already had conversations with Bud about an approach on this. Okay, Carl.
All farm machinery should be exempted because any farm tractor working is up close to 100 decibels. And why would we object to a farmer operating a machinery for his livelihood? It should be totally exempted.
Okay. Next. Andy?
The planning commissions have spent years, literally years, on revising and checking these ordinances before submitting them to you. And I was forwarded this afternoon, so I haven't had an opportunity to look over all of the changes that have been recommended by the legal counsel. But I think it would be a benefit for the residents and a benefit for everyone that takes the time to attend these meetings for the board to give everyone the opportunity to look this over and let the planning commission look it over and make sure that it's in keeping with what our township would want.
Okay.
I'm not going to comment about the noise because I'm probably one of the noisiest ones in the neighborhood, but the farm tractors. But my question was on the township property. Are you guys going to talk about that this evening?
Yes.
And will I have time to talk then, or do I have to speak now?
Yeah, there is, yeah. If you'd like to, I'll give you the opportunity to talk
So
about
we'll
it.
talk about it
Yeah.
then? Okay.
Okay, let me just, before we get a lot of comments, let me just make one, I know this is your time, and so I don't mean to interrupt your time, but let me just make a comment. As we get into the zoning ordinances, or I can maybe address it now, and we have already addressed the issue, or I have, with our planner of how they've gone about doing this. I will be the first one to admit that if anybody is to blame, I want to put the blame on myself. I do attend the planning commission meetings. The last meeting, I thought that the planning commissioners would have had the information that the attorneys had comments about information that they wanted to have changed would have been before the Planning Commission at their last meeting. They did not receive it. When we left, there were a few people in the audience that requested copies, and I felt in a few days that the commissioners would have had that report. I was told that, well, let me say, a couple days I had gone back into the office and requested, have we heard from our planners about these changes? And Donna informed me that she would get the information to me. So I was emailed the changes. A copy was given to our clerk. It was also said that there were copies given to our planning commissioners. And this did not happen. And so today I had a conversation with Rodney Nanny, who was doing the planning and that. I told him not to show up tonight because we are not going to address this issue, and we are going to do exactly what a lot of you have said. The problem with this township in the past has been, and again, I don't know because I wasn't here, but from other people who've been around here for a long time, the businesses, is that they have a tendency of believing that somehow, some way, that people will sneak things in at the last minute and put it in the ordinances, and then people, when they have this issue, they have problems. I can tell you, I am not that kind of a person, and I don't believe any of these board members are like that. So as I told Mr. Nandy not to show up tonight, and I do expect our counseling from our planners, our legal department, to be professional and to give us the information that we need so that we can make intelligent decisions and keep our township safe and on the right track. So again, I don't want people calling our offices and blaming anybody in the office. The buck stops with me. I should have had, from now on, when there's emails going out, I want to be copied on them to make sure that our commissioners have the right information so that they can make intelligent decisions to bring it to us as a board that we can pass to make us a great township. And so that's how we're handling that. Okay, any other public comment?
Yes, my name's Robert Horton, 4235 Shoreview in Hamburg, Michigan. I just found out about this, well, in fact, you close on Monday. I left my shop this afternoon and drove over to Northfield Township and drove over to Hamburg Township, which I knew had the decibels on their zoning ordinances. I also know that Hamburg's only had one problem with noise, and all the time they've had a noise ordinance, and it was with a guy with a unit on top of his building. And the people were over 500 foot away. But the Hamburg ordinance is not anything like ours because the decibels are too low on ours. They may be good for Birmingham or Livonia or someplace where it's real close together. Northfield Township, their houses are jammed up against each other over there, and their ordinance, their sounds, if you look at the decibels of sound, it's ridiculous what ours are. I don't know who wrote
They
it,
don't have a decimal reader.
but it's not, but what, we're in the country, we're not in Birmingham.
We have a
Right.
decimal reader.
The only place the houses are close together is right here.
Right.
No, something that reads the noise. You should
Okay.
ask that.
Bonnie?
Ask him, Pat.
Because you said you were shipping this back to the planning commission, does that mean it's off the agenda for tonight?
You were getting to that.
Oh, you didn't just off the agenda?
We're getting into that. Okay, next. Hi.
The zoning ordinance.
Yeah,
Hi.
go ahead. How you doing, sir?
Firstly, I'd like to mention the passing of our Northville Crossing Homeowners Association President, Peggy Fulton-Connor, and praise her contribution to our community. I mean, she was a great person.
She was.
Will really be missed.
Right.
You can't hear us.
When that happens.
And
Right.
then,
Right.
she passed away on Friday.
Right.
I have the services available if anybody's interested later.
Okay. If you can't hear, Charlotte is part of the Northville Crossing peg Bogusunger had passed on Friday. So we want to keep that family in our thoughts and prayers. And she was a leader of that community, and
She was a leader in a lot of things.
Sure.
Yeah.
she hosted a lot of the meetings for candidate night, and so we appreciate her hard work.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you. And then, I know we've spoken,
Sure.
but due to the number of the fatalities and traffic accidents on 8 Mile Road between Back and Pontiac Trail, I provided detailed information to each of you on October 28th regarding these issues in my correspondence to the Washtenaw and Oakland County Road Commission representatives to A, add a warning sign to the existing stop sign at Napier that 8 Mile Road traffic does not stop. A favorable response was not received from the Oakland County Road Commissioner engineer. B, lower the speed limit from 55 miles per hour or less, or at least post it. We have no postings on 8 Mile from Beck Road to Pontiac Trail whatsoever. The 40-mile-an-hour speed limit signs are there temporarily, and I'm told will be removed, and nothing will be replaced after that 2-year construction project. Also, I thought the consideration of solar-powered speed signs, which I've given you pictures of, they're just little square things that, you know, they attach to anything. The engineer of traffic and safety for Washtenaw indicated, quote unquote, WCRC will consider the installation of such signs if funded by other source, such as township or community. Therefore, I respectfully request your support and possible funding for this effort. That's about it. And I've given you a lot of pictures and details, traffic, etc. Every day you drive down that road, everybody I know has either been tailgated, passed on the double yellow. I mean, you take your life in your hands to drive that road every day.
I sit on the board for the Northville Crossing Homeowners Association, and I'm representing them here tonight. They are very much so in support of what Charlotte is trying to do. We just really would like some support from the board here, even if it is just in the form of a letter saying that you do understand the problem that is occurring there, the significance, the loss of life, and that, you know, you support whatever change could be made. Even if, like she said, even if all we can get is the signs for the speed posted, something really needs to be done there before there is more loss of life. I don't know how many more other people, how many more other families are gonna have to suffer. And so we would really appreciate some type of support from you.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody else? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Mr. Wensley.
I move that Salem Township approve the following consent agenda items. In the minutes of the October 8, 2013 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, the disbursements for October 2013, they include the general fund October check roster, $73,471.74, and that includes the checks 24,275 through 24,320. It also includes the disbursements of the escrow fund, $4,529, and that includes checks 1531 through 1534. We had a payroll of October of $45,611.91. It included the transfers through Paycor of $173.50. We had disbursements in the sewer fund that included checks 1906 and 1907 for $7704.97. In your packet, you'll also see the invoices for November 2013 for the general fund of $72,987.28. Includes the sewer fund invoices of $4645.22 and the check for the invoice for the escrow fund of $500. So do I have a second for these?
Mr. Supervisor, I'll second it, and just as a note, I believe that there's a typo on the check roster in the consent agenda motion. Mr. Clerk, the last check should be 24,328 instead of 320.
Okay, any other changes? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed. Okay, down to the zoning ordinance. Basically, I've kind of already addressed it, but I would like to make that motion. I move that Salem Township send the draft zoning ordinances back to the planning commission at their next regular meeting, which will be this Monday, I believe, right? To review the attorney's comments. Anything we want to add to that motion?
I'll support that motion, Mr. Supervisor.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Maybe we'll get it right for next meeting. All right. So we're down to the motion to approve the DEQ SAW grant that we briefly touched base last meeting. Trent?
Mr. Supervisor, I move that Salem Township approve the consulting services proposal from Stantec at a cost of $6,700 to submit a grant application for the MDEQ SAW program by the deadline of December 2nd, 2013, on behalf of Salem Township.
Mr. Supervisor, I'll second.
Okay, any discussion on this? I know we were handed some information last month on this.
Mr. Supervisor, in addition to this motion, there will be a follow-up motion made pending approval of this motion to approve a SAW grant agreement. And I know Treasurer Converse probably has some additional information that he will share with the board relative to that proposal. But this would initiate the process and allow Stantec to proceed with the proposal that they reviewed with this board last month. I think there's a large benefit to the township for us to proceed, not only on the grant proposal submitted by Stantec, but in applying for the grant and to see if we do receive any monies that would help us with the sewer maintenance and potential redesign and reconstruction cost if things materialize to that end. But we will never know that if we don't submit a grant request.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion's passed. Okay, down to the resolution SAW grant. Do you have that, Mr. Connors? Yeah, it's a resolution.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that we approve the resolution authorizing for the SAW grant agreement. This agreement basically authorizes up to $1 million to be applied for in the grant. It is to establish an asset management plan, as well as to go back through and to establish a design for the wastewater and the stormwater treatment plant, if we so desire, pending further studies down the line. This does not mean that we are locked into any particular motion or any particular amount that we have to spend to the on these entities, namely the stormwater or the wastewater treatment plant. But it does maintain that we can spend up to that, and that's what we'd be going to the state for, to authorize for.
I second the motion, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay, any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, I know Mr. Converse and yourself had some dialogue with our consultants earlier today. Dale, could you update the board on any possible breakout of the approved project costs that the consultants may have estimated at this juncture?
The approved cost for Stantec to do this is about $6,700. Part of this agreement also goes back and would be approving a rate study, sewer rate study, just to kind of capitalize on what has transpired in the past. The sewer system was put in 1997 when it came online. And rates were set at a certain rate, and they were basically, everything was designed for expansion of the township. The capacity of the sewer plant down there is roughly 250 units. We right now, when they went into production, when we launched the plant, there was 105 units that were actually using the sewer plant. Today, we're up to about 62, 162, excuse me. What has happened here is that we are really in a deficit spending. We are taking in what we usually, there is a portion of the bill that's for principal and interest. There's a debt service fee, which is of $10 a month. Then there's an operational maintenance, which is $49.50 a month, that every resident is charged. As of right now, we are going into debt probably on the order of about upwards of $20,000 to $30,000 a year, because the rates coming in does not cover what is going back out. The problem remains is that the operation and maintenance fund that we are supposed to be putting $49.50 a month into for every residence is really going to pay the bond. It is not going to putting up anything for any future maintenance that may need to be coming down the line for the whole treatment plant. So therefore, anything happens with that plant, we are not budgeting any money right now to do any maintenance of that plant, the whole system, nothing. All we're doing is paying for the bond. And to know the exact dollars amount, part of this also the SAW grant is that we can go back and we can hire rate studies. I have the names of 3 different individuals, and they have some more. Stantec has had some more people that they would recommend going to, that would come back in as a complete total history of what happened with all the rates. When they were started, the rates were reduced back in 2001. They were reduced again in 2002. But that reduction has really cost us, because that money took away from the actual money that is to be paid back in the principal and the interest of the total bond. So in other words, it was helpful, and it has been helpful to the residents for a long time. But I can't really say here with a clear conscience that this township is going to be in a lot of trouble and that bond has to be paid off with in another 4 years. By 2017 is the last year that it'll be, it's up to, so by 2018, it's going to be done, and there's a lot of money to be paid back. And we really need to have our arms around where the costs, what's coming in, what can we do. The township is probably going to have to pony up. But we're trying everything we can do to try to get taps sold. We're trying to do ways that we can raise money, but in the long term, we are dealing with really is we don't know. So this is really a blessing to have this SAW grant come back in and give us the opportunity, because they will match about 90% of the money coming back in. And these are rough numbers. I shouldn't maybe say the exactly, but it's about a 90% that they will match. So it will be a cost to us, but it is a long way from just having us go out there and get a rate assessment. I was going to do it when I was took office. Paul had told me that this is something you have to do. I was going to go do it, and then I kind of backed off. But now it's here. This is a good thing to go after, and I think it will serve the community well to have independent outside people come back in and look over the books to see exactly where we need to go and how we need to go from here.
All right, any other questions, comments? Not, we have a second, right? And hopefully we need a roll call vote.
Converse,
Yes.
Daniel is absent. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Wensley, yes, and Whitaker.
Yes.
Yes. All right, so that passes. Okay, we're down to the building department coordinator applications. The last couple of weeks, our Mr. Wensley and also Treasurer Converse have gone over, we received about 27 applications for the building coordinator, and also I went through them, and we basically came down to about 2 people that we would like to bring in and to have the interview. The names would be Annie Alexander, who is currently doing some of that work right now, and also Lori O'Brien. And we would have a special board meetings on Monday, December 2nd at 1 p.m. So I would like to make that motion that we approve the following applicants to be interviewed for the building department coordinator position at a special meeting to be scheduled on Monday, December 2nd, 2013 at 1 o'clock. Can I have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we'll set that special board meeting up for that. All right, moving on down to the snow removal, which we're not going to have any this year.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that Salem Township approve extending the contract of Ultra Unlimited Services in the amount of $7,000 for snow removal for the bid specifications for the 2013-14 winter season, and waive Section 8A of the Salem Township Purchasing and Bid Policy, and it requires 3 bids be obtained.
I'll second.
Mr. Wensley seconds it.
Mr. Supervisor, for the past year, Ultra Unlimited Services has provided snow removal services. Actually, for the last 2 years, she has reduced her price for this upcoming season. The year before, it was $7,250, and for 3 years prior to her getting the contract, we were paying $7,450. So this is a trend in the right direction, and I recommend that we approve contract, and we keep that work with somebody that's here in Hamlin.
All right, we have a second. Let's take a roll call vote on this.
Could I have some comment, please?
Yeah.
Is there a chance that we could look at the contract a little bit, modifying for snow removal for us on the fire station side, so that we have some challenges when it comes overnight, and we need to get trucks out because of the bad weather. So I'm not sure how the provisions are, but if we could work with whoever you select to help us a bit with that.
Just, you need to let me know.
So that I am.
So, well, I'm here during the day, I'd be glad to talk to you. Okay, so we have a second. Any other questions about it? Yeah, roll call.
All right, Converse,
Yes.
Daniel is absent. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Wensley is yes, and Whitaker?
Yes. Okay. Passed, and now we're down to Mary Beth Schmidt.
Yep, we have holiday hours coming up, so I move that Salem Township approve the closing of the Township Hall on the following days for the Christmas and New Year holiday period. This would include Monday, December 23rd, Tuesday, Christmas Eve, December 24th, Christmas Day, December 25th, and then for 2014, New Year's Day, January 1st, Thursday, January 2nd, and Friday, January 3rd. If I could have a second on that.
I'll second.
TJ McLaughlin seconds. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Passes. Okay, next, the bid deadline extended. Mr. Trent?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I move that Salem Township approve an extension of the bid deadline for the fire department surplus equipment to December 2nd, 2013.
I'll second it.
Mr. Supervisor, just as some background information, the board will remember a couple of meetings ago, we did approve the disposal of some fire department surplus equipment. We did not receive any bids by the deadline of October 31st. This will help ensure that we do receive some bids by December 2nd. We know we have some interested parties that are wanting to submit bids, but missed the bid deadline of October 31st.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on down to firefighters, application process.
Mr. Supervisor, Chief Rockwell has apprised yourself and me that he would like to add some firefighters to the ranks. So I'd like to move that we approve the request of Fire Chief Rockwell to add 3 firefighters to the Salem Township Fire Department roster, with applications to be accepted through December 31st, 2013. Resumes and applications will be reviewed by the Salem Township Bargaining Committee, which consists of Supervisor Whitaker, Treasurer Converse, Trustee Trent, and Fire Chief Rockwell. Interviews will be conducted by the committee in January, with recommendations for hire to be submitted at the January or February meeting of the Board of Trustees.
Okay, we have a second on that?
I'll second it.
All right.
Mr. Supervisor, just as some background information, past policy of previous boards has been to have a full staffing of 28 firefighters. We presently are running around 20 active firefighters that are responding to calls at this juncture. We anticipate there will be a reduction of that number in the next few months with some people that would be possibly moving out of state or retiring. And so this is the opportunity for us to supplement our ranks. And so the chief has asked for 3 firefighters to be added early next year. And that would fit in well with the training programs that'll be coming up for new firefighters next year, so.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion's passed. Okay, now we're down to the lease agreement, township property. I had been in conversation with Mr. Donahue last week concerning the pieces of properties that he farms. We also had discussed about his lease and when the lease ends and when it starts. So since Duke, you were here, I told you if you wanted to, I'd be glad if you would like to make a comment about this. But for what I've understood in our conversation, to change the lease to be different because of the way planning's happening and the seed and everything that you do have to purchase if we began the extension of a 3-year lease from January 1st of 2014 through December 31st of 2016.
Correct, that was back years ago. I think we've been farming it since, I looked at my records, 97, I believe.
Right.
Was one of the partials. Then I would look online or whatever your guys' website, and there's actually 2 partials.
Correct.
The only one that I showed, I don't know if you only have a lease agreement on there for one partial?
No, I have 2 identification numbers, one ending in 008
Okay.
and the other one in 022.
Okay. Just a brief backup, because all the new faces. Let's say the identification 008, that is the partial across from Carl's cabin.
Right.
Okay. That partial, I kept the current lease up to date with the past board. The other partial that is landlocked at M14, which is 022, yeah,
Right.
022 name. That one, I let that, well, with the past board, or I just worked with Hyle, the supervisor at the time, when that come up due, based on the price that I'm paying per acre, the ground at Carl's has a well and higher nutrient for especially crops that we do. So I can understand paying a much higher price per acre. The M14 landlocked 022, I said, if you can get the rent down to a reasonable fashion, that considering what they're paying for the rent on Curtis Road, I said, I'll be willing to sign a lease. He said, well, we don't, it'd have to go before the board and all this other stuff. That ground has some low-lying areas. If you have a dry season, you might make out all right. He says, well, let's just not even sign a lease. If you find that you can utilize the ground, utilize it, and I paid for it. And I did end up utilizing it every year. Last year I had weed in it. I did lose a little bit of it because of the wet spring. But there was never a lease signed on that piece of property. And the fact is, I'm not willing to pay $100 an acre for a piece of ground that is fair ground. And I think if you look at other ground that you lease within the township, you don't get $100 an acre for it.
Well, we can do 2 things. One, we can approve tonight on the 008
That's the one I was more concerned
at
about.
$100 an acre, which you are.
No, it's not $100 an acre. That one's like $200 an acre.
Well,
650 for 3.5 acres.
Yeah,
So
what
it's
is it?
$175 an acre roughly.
$650 per year.
Right, for 3.5 acres.
Oh, yeah, I see, right, yeah. $650 per year, and then we can, you know, what I have in the contract here is
I just seen the 022 online. I
is
didn't see.
well, they got here at 4.7 tillable acres at $100 per acre.
Right, that's what the previous lease was, and that's when I went into that piece of ground not knowing.
Right.
what it
Well,
was.
the only thing I can recommend, we can approve this tonight on the first piece, and the second piece, all I can say is that, we can put it out for bid and let people decide, we just take the highest bidder who
Well,
wants to
it
lease
can't
it.
be, it can't be bid out, it's landlocked. I lease all the ground around it, and M14 is the bordering side, so it can't be farmed. It's all owned all the way around. That property's landlocked by M14.
Yeah, but the other people who own the property would.
I lease it.
Right.
I lease all the property that surrounds it. And, I mean, it doesn't matter to me, the ground's not that valuable. It's just a matter, it's landlocked, and that's why one of the reasons Ohio says, well, I don't want to go mess around trying to put it up for bid, because they gotta get across my field to get to that field. And that's why it had never been farmed in the past, and that's when I picked it up, because we had farmed with that adjoining property, so that's why I just went ahead and picked that piece up years ago.
All right,
But-
well, then what I would recommend, we will look into that and see what our other options are. We'll approve this tonight on the first piece and move that forward, and then we'll
That's-
negotiate and figure out what to do on that, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, that's fine. Is that, and I was in question on, is the lease on the other properties, or I talked to you about that, on the Curtis Road
Right,
property, is that?
yeah, we don't know as of yet what we're gonna do with that.
Okay.
But we will address this, extending so I move that Salem Township extend a 3-year lease between Donahue Enterprises Incorporated, Salem Township, for township properties located at Gofferson Road, partial identification number A0125200008, for a period beginning January 1st, 2014 through December 31st of 2016, as per attached lease agreements. I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Actually, we probably should take a roll call on this.
Okay. Converse,
Yes.
Daniel is absent. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Wensley, yes, and Whitaker.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Winsley, I think you're up next. On the financial audit services, you're up.
I move that Salem Township approve the creation of the Financial Audit Services RFP Committee and to have the following charge. We will utilize the attached request for proposal for the financial audit services for the fiscal years 2014 through 2016. That's the next 3-year period. We'll advertise this RFP in the papers of record, which is our South Lyon Herald, and contact other professional associations as necessary to enhance the notification of this proposal. We'll utilize the matrix evaluation form attached for the review and approval by the board. We will authorize the committee to open bids and bring a recommendation of 3 to 5 auditing firms to be interviewed by the board based on this evaluation. And lastly, the township board will interview audit firms and select a firm at the January 14th, 2014 Board of Trustees meeting. This will include, this committee will include members, I will chair, the treasurer Dale Converse, trustee David Trent, and my deputy clerk Kim Taggart. Accounting consultant Colleen Coogan will also provide assistance as necessary. Do I have a second?
Support.
Okay, Mr. Trent seconds it. Any other discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Our next on the agenda is we have the, by legal counsel, Mr. Plato, I believe everybody has a copy of the purchase agreement on 4 tracks. Any questions on this?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, do we know the status of the environmental assessment and any soil borings that may have taken place up to this point?
As of today, actually, a brief conversation with Stantec, and the environmental one stage that they have gone through looks fine, and they are going to be prepared to give us a report on it. They feel that moving forward, they are our township engineers, but they also provide that. We trust them for their services, what they're doing, and we should have a report of it. She feels in about a week, but as so far, everything just checks out fine, and it looks like the ground is fine. Any other discussion?
Mr. Supervisor?
Yes, sir.
In that same vein, is Stantec going to do a phase 2 environmental assessment?
They've talked about it. They're going to recommend in this letter if they need to do that or not. We've kind of said we'd like to have it done, but I'm just waiting to see what their letter's going to say.
The other question I had is I spoke with Mr. Helmer yesterday. He indicated that the title work has been ordered, if you had discussions with him on that, because I'm not sure what the status is of the title commitment.
And I have not had any conversation with Jerry Helmer.
Okay, he made it sound like he had spoken with you about it.
I haven't talked to him since, the last time.
Okay.
Gary, do you know what a phase 2, what do they do in a
They
phase 2?
mostly do the soil borings and stuff there on the property, and I think we allotted, what, $15,000 for this service. Basically, we've spent $2,500. Okay, so we have that in front of us. Any other questions?
I just wanted to verify, I know the board had authorized legal counsel to draft this purchase agreement. This is just for our review tonight. Any final vote on purchasing this particular piece of property would take place next month, is that correct?
I believe we have 90 days, and I believe that's up sometime in December.
And we have to close by December 15th.
Right. All right, and then as far as, and we would like to, during public comment here, open it up to discuss any more issues on the land here, to have your opinions on it. So if we could wait to address that during that time. All right, and now we have another resolution, Mr. Converse.
Move that the township of Washington County resolve to amend the ordinance 9702 sewer usage administration to as follows. Charges for the sewer disposal services furnished to any premises within the service district shall be on lien against the premises. Charges delinquent 45 days as of November 15th of any year shall be certified by the superintendent and other employees authorized by the township annually to proper taxing assessing officer. The assessing officer shall enter a lien on the next tax rolls against the premises to which the services shall have been rendered, and the charges shall be collected, and liens shall be enforced in the same manner as provided by the collection of taxes assessed upon the rolls of the enforced by the lien and such taxes. Such charges and rates shall be collected and returned in the same manner other taxes and certified assessed collections and returns.
Do you understand all that? All right, all right. All right, do we have a second on this resolution?
Support, Mr. Supervisor.
All right, Mr. Trent. And,
The reasoning behind this whole ordinance, changing of this ordinance is for the past 13 years. There's been a motion that has said 45 days in arrear as of 15th. The original ordinance said 93 months before August 15th. So there was a conflict between the ordinance and what was the motion. And quite frankly, motions don't trump ordinances, so we really need to go back and change the ordinance. So really all we're changing here is 45 days instead of 3 months, and it's November 15th instead of August 15th. So it's just nothing more than a change in date, so that what we do normally today, and we have done for the past, I don't know, long time, almost in essence, anybody that is delinquent in their sewer bills, as of September 15th, they have till November 15th to pay for them. Other than that, they are included on the winter tax bills.
Thank you, Mr. Converse, for your clarification. We totally understand now. Okay. All right, we can take a roll call vote on that?
Yeah, I think we need to.
All right.
All right. Converse,
Yes.
Daniel is absent. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Wensley, yes, and Whitaker.
Yes. Okay, then we have reports in front of you. The clerk revenue expenditure report is in the board packet. And then we'll move down here to the fire department. Mr. Rockwell.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just real briefly, we had 27 requests for calls or pages. About 63% of that was medical, and about 22% were car accidents. Bad weather's approaching. We had it last night, and we had a number of accidents within our township. M14 and US 23 were shut down for a while as well. So get prepared for the bad weather. It's coming. Slow down, wear your seatbelts. And then the car versus deer crashes are up, and I can personally attest to that one since I got my first buck, not the cheap way. So again, we're getting rush hours, we're getting darkness earlier than normal, and the fact that the bad weather's approaching. Please slow down and wear seatbelts. That's all I got. Any questions?
Any questions to the chief? Okay, all right, then moving on, we have our Washtenaw County Sheriff's Report that's in the board packet. To view. And then we're down to board discussion, the 457 retirement plan.
Mr. Supervisor, I would just like to take a few minutes. David, Trent, and I will just try to go through this, some ideas of what the board would like to do with our past retirement plan. Many of you know that over the years, the last 2 or 3 or 4 years, we've had some issues in the township with conflicting information between the retirement plan, which is called the 457, and then this other original plan, the 218 agreement. And we wanted to know going forward what the township will do in a correct manner. And it seems like we were never really given accurate information from all the parties, because it's very complicated financial, it's just very complicated to understand exactly, and you get pieces of information from a lot of people, and you don't really know what we're doing as a township to go forward. So what we decided to do is to hire the auditing firm that we use right now, Raymond, and they have a specialized individual who spends his whole time with retirement plans. And in the packet that many of you see, we asked him to review what we currently have and how we can move forward. And his recommendation, at least what he gave us, and you'll see this in your packet here, is we have a 457 plan and we have this money purchase pension plan. As he reviewed the documents, basically, he's come to find out that we really don't have good documentation at all. So what he recommends is that we basically come up with a summary plan description, which is the document that will outline how participants can participate in this plan. And the fee for the first 457 plan document is $1,500 for his company to create this document. And then the money purchase plan, pension plan, is $1,200 to create this summary plan. The summary plan is vital to the continuation of it, so we need it. So we have to do this in order to know that what we do in the future is accurate. And as he reviewed this plan, both of these plans, he's come to determine that the third-party group that we've had in the past, Burnham and Flowers, we don't pay them any money to manage the plan, but they're kind of in charge of it. They're basically not doing as well as in the investment of this individual monies that the participants have inside this plan. So they made a recommendation to actually look at all of our investment options. And in order to do that, they will charge $200 per hour, and that includes 4 or 5 different things. They'll maintain the plan. Each year, they'll analyze the new tax rules and regulations, make sure the plan is following appropriate rules. They'll look at our financial platforms with Fidelity and our other investment company, this ING, and they'll determine the choices that the participants can choose. You probably all have, maybe 401ks or IRAs or 403b plans. Many of you might have. It's basically the same kind of thing. And nobody's really helping our participants with the choices. So this company will actually help and spend the time and talk to each participant individually. So the first year fee not to exceed $2,600, and the second and succeeding years not to exceed $1,800 per year. So that's kind of like a basic.
Who is involved in this pension? Is it the firefighters who have this benefit? Is it part-time people? Who's involved in the retirement plan?
There are currently, there's currently one trustee, myself, several firefighters, and other past participants who still have their monies invested in the retirement plan.
That's an awful
Steve,
lot of
looking
funds.
out for himself again.
I have a 457, was a government employee, and we had ours through ICMA. I don't know if you ever heard of ICMA. It's International Municipality. And I never paid, our group never paid that much money into it. The city never paid that. Can't pay anywhere near that much. And I just retired last year, so. I don't know where this independent company, there's other companies that.
I don't know if you know about any of the past here, but there's been some really big issues.
Very little.
And we certainly want to do the right thing and not have any issues down the
Why don't
road.
we let the individuals pick their own vehicle for a financial vehicle? Why should the residents of Salem Township be paying for somebody $200 an hour to make decisions for you? Nobody makes decisions for me in my business.
He's
I
right.
have a pension profit sharing plan. My employees pick whatever vehicle they want for money. Takes me out of the loop.
Mr. Supervisor, before you recognize Mr. Quigley, and I certainly do want to hear what Mr. Quigley has to say, but just as some additional background information for the members of the board as well as the citizens present, is that historically, when you go back to the original inception of the 457 plan, it was adopted in 1995. The original plan as adopted was to be strictly an employee-only funded retirement plan, or deferred retirement plan. Later on that year, the board amended that plan to do a Social Security match, if you will, that all of the participants who were in the plan took advantage of. We ultimately found out in 2009 that that practice was not kosher with IRS rules and regulations. The only reason that came to light was because the insurance administrator of the plan, as originally conceived when this plan was put into place through the Michigan Townships Association, was Burnham and Flower. However, the township adopted this plan through an independent insurance agent in 1995. And so the plan being modified in 95 should have never been allowed to happen without a review of the township's 218 agreement, which apparently at that time nobody was aware that such a document existed. And so even though Burnham and Flower came on the scene in 2009, at their request to essentially get their customers back that they believed should have never been taken away from them because it was their plan through the MTA. They were the sponsor of the insurance administrator of that plan. That they never really spent the time with any of the plan participants to review their portfolio options. And one of the things that Mr. Wensley has identified in this report from Mr. Burnett is that that's a service that they would provide. One of the things that Mr. Burnett did in his analysis of our documentation and our insurance, our investment options that Burnham and Flower gives to all of the participants where they can pick their own plans, is that looking at how those funds perform compared to the rest of the industry, all of the insurance or all of the mutual fund options that people can pick from out in the big financial world, is that what we offer our plan participants, that I think maybe 50% or so were underperforming the rest of their peers. And as a result of that, his concern was that if we want to give something of more value to our plan participants, is that he would recommend a different portfolio platform for our plan participants to be able to choose from. And so that's part of the benefit of that hourly consultation. And yes, we'd be paying a fee, but then our plan participants get the added analysis that we're currently not getting today, and that we haven't gotten in the last 4 years since Burnham and Flower came back on the scene to assist us in this effort. The other thing too is that he also identified other issues that still existed that we thought had been rectified, not only by Burnham and Flower, but by legal counsel that was contracted after the fact. And so, in looking at these costs, some of the things that Mr. Wensley and I brainstormed late last week was that maybe there's some variations on these proposed costs that can be reevaluated. One of the things that Dell didn't have a chance to mention yet was that we can take a look at various options on how we proceed down the road. One option is that we can just cease all of these retirement plans, get the township out of that mess altogether. The other option is that we can get out of the 218 agreement conundrum that we've had the last several years and remodify the plan going forward where it's strictly just an employee-funded option. If we do that, and if we want to take advantage of some of the expertise that Raymond would bring to the table, we would need to get a modified proposal, because it would then make the whole retirement plan less complex, easier to comply with IRS rules and regulations going forward if it's strictly an employee-only deferred comp plan. And that way, there might be more interest, not only on the part of people that sit at this board table to participate, but our other employees who essentially, because of the number of hours that they work, are precluded from participating in getting the Social Security match, if you will, or the 6.2% of their salary. So these are things that can be investigated over the next couple of weeks. We're waiting for Mr. Burnett to respond to Mr. Wensley's inquiry regarding some of these scenarios that I've just outlined to you. And also our accounting consultant did happen to mention to me in phone conversation, the very firm that this individual mentioned, the ICMA, that probably handles it in a similar vein as Burnham and Flower, where
That's all they handle is
where there's
municipalities.
a variety of investment options that participants can pick in, and a lot of those are, just market-based, and that was one of the things that came to light in Mr. Wernett's analysis of the investment options that people can pick from, is that a lot of the portfolios or mutual funds that are just market-based actually outperform what the experts, which, they charge a commission for those funds anyway, so somebody's making some money at some point in time. And granted, we, the township, don't pay for it directly, but the plan participants end up getting a lower return on their money, even from the experts trying to manage those assets. So that's some of the things that we can look at going forward, and we just wanted to bring this to the table to apprise you of where we're at and see what, and give you time to consider what we as a board might like to do regarding these retirement plans going forward. And with that, Mr. Supervisor, I'll yield to your discretion on who gets recognized next.
Well, that means I get no retirement fund? I don't get a full-time retirement with the benefits and health care?
You may as well
Like
Dave Trent got one.
So, anyway. Right. All right, Jim, did you have a comment?
Under IRAs, you have an IRA that's what's called traditional IRA, and you also have a Roth IRA. And a Roth IRA allows you to do certain things that you can't otherwise do, such as putting money down in the road. You don't have to pay any taxes on it when you take it out. Normal IRA, you pay taxes when you take it out. When the 457 plan was put in place a number of years ago, that wasn't available to them. The Roth IRA was not part of the 457 plan. And about 4 or 5 years ago, they changed the law, and it now is part of a 457 plan if the community wants to adopt it. And it may have some advantages to your staff that the other ones don't have. It's something you might want to consider when you're talking to your experts.
Yeah, Mr. Trent spoke, he said that there was a mistake was found in 2009 over this deal. Wasn't it found in maybe 2007 or 2008? Instead of 2009? By the board? Mr. Trent should know the answer to that one. Because wasn't there a lawsuit over that?
I think we're beyond that.
We're behind that, but
right now,
the thing is,
no,
Mr. Trent said, Gary, it was in 2009, I believe it was in 2008 or 2007.
O'Neill, we're moving forward.
Okay.
And we're moving forward.
When you
because
misspeak, you should
the
be
four-
corrected, Gary.
Well, I'm saying on the 457, this township, people are involved, we are not gonna spend thousands of dollars on fighting something where we have done in the past. We've ended it, we're moving forward, and we're gonna, if people who are in these retirements that the township has allowed, we're gonna do what's right.
Yep, and
We
the
want-
township
we
should
wanna
still
get-
continue
wait a
to pay their
minute.
ways, Gary.
And we wanna make sure that it's done right, and that's how we're gonna do it, we're gonna move forward. As far as the 457, the lawsuits, we've gone past that, we're moving forward. All right, yes, sir.
Just a point of reference that all of you that might have 401ks at your employer, you just have to realize that the financial organizations that manage those are earning huge commission rates. So this particular individual is not earning those rates. He's basically taking an hourly fee because the amount is so small. So let's say your particular company may have 100,000, 500,000, 10 million in their 401k plan at your job, at your work. The investment advisor may make 2%, 4%, 5.75% off the total. So there's always huge monies going to the financial side of things. So this particular plan eliminates the commissions. It's just an hourly. So when he says that he is only going to be taking first year not to exceed $2,600, it's relative.
Mine's a
basically.
457, it's not a 401.
Right, well,
Mine was
it's the
deferred
same
comp.
thing, it's the same kind of, it's all companies that match the plan and all that. So I'm just saying that that's kind of where I was coming from on this.
But why should the people of Salem Township pay for somebody else's private retirement plan? I mean, why should it be any advice given? Why can't you individuals go out and seek that advice on your own? Maybe this gentleman over on the right, on my right over here.
That's just what a company or a municipal retirement plan's all about. You have someone organize it, and just like yours.
Yeah, but nobody in Salem Township pays for mine. I
We
mean,
have-
I'm just saying, it just sounds like it's a flawed plan. And it's gonna bring questions up like this, because why are we paying somebody $200 an hour to look at the plan? Everybody, vote yourself $100 a year more and go get yourself some advice. It's fine, everybody else does. That's what I'm saying.
Why pass it on to the township residents?
Especially when money's always an issue, and there's like, my roads, looks like somebody carpet bound it, so. That's my opinion.
That's another issue.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, moving forward down to board discussion under South Lyon Recreation Authority.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to apprise the board and the citizens that are here tonight of some involvement that Salem has taken the initiative to sit down at the table and be apprised of some discussion that's been going on for the past year between the municipalities of South Lyon, Lyon Township, and Green Oak Township regarding a proposed community center to service the South Lyon Area Recreational Authority. Back in 1997, I believe, there was a organization formed to oversee recreational programs within those three municipalities. Prior to that, all of those activities were kind of conducted through the school system, South Lyon School District. For a variety of reasons, the schools decided to get out of overseeing that, and this recreational authority was created. Back in 2007, that authority was modified and became, well, actually it was called the Recreation Council, and in 2007 it became the South Lyon Area Recreation Authority. And as such, they were allowed to become a taxing entity. Up to this point in time, there has been no taxes levied against any citizens regarding the funding of this authority. However, each of those three communities that have been participating within that authority have contributed monies to the annual budget of the Recreation Authority. And for the last few years, those three communities have been funding this authority to the tune of just under $60,000 a year. And they've done it on a percentage basis. Recently, they changed the formula for how those municipalities are contributing those funds, and that's outlined on pages 8, 9, and 10 for your review. Recently, the director of the Recreational Authority sat down with Mr. Whitaker and myself to provide this very information that you have before you tonight. I won't go through every page, but the essence of what was provided to us is that Salem Township residents to participate in any recreational activities have to pay a 25% surcharge for any activities. An example that's given in your package is the summer camp, where a resident of the other three communities would pay $160, a Salem resident would pay $200 to participate in that activity. We've had a lot of parents that have come to this board off and on over the years to ask this board to consider becoming part of that recreational authority so that they would not have to pay the surcharge. And up to this point in time, the previous boards have kind of taken an arm's length appraisal of that because there was always the concern that if we got involved with this group, because it did have a taxing authority, that perhaps some sort of millage would roll to our residents. What has come forward here in the past year is that through a variety of surveys, those three communities to the north of us have joined together and believe that there is a strong support for a new community center that would be able to take care of a variety of different things from a recreation standpoint. A new swimming pool, gymnasium, fitness center, a senior center, or at least space for senior center activities, and just general community education. Right now, the Recreational Authority has to utilize school building facilities to accommodate all of those needs. And because of the ongoing increased interest in a lot of those kinds of activities, and I'll use swimming as a prime example, that they are running out of opportunities to use the space because of the schools and other groups that are trying to use those facilities. The same time a couple weeks ago when the local paper reported on our attendance at one of their meetings to review this new community center, that there was a front page article that talked about a citizens group that is working on submitting a proposal to the South Lyon City Council to develop additional sporting fields at Volunteer Park, which is located at Dixboro Road between 8 and 9 Mile. The city of South Lyon has planned for that area to hold a variety of different recreational activities, and there are parent groups that are forming together to make such a proposal to the South Lyon City Council, where there would be new ball fields, soccer fields, and football fields because of the high interest in football programs, soccer, etc. in these areas. These three communities, as part of the planning process, anteed up some money to be able to have a vote on the process that takes place. Salem was invited to come to the table for a number of reasons. We were late coming to the party. Each of those communities put $15,000 in the pot to provide for consulting with architectural firms and legal work to get to where they are today. Right now, this group is planning on going to their citizens next year in either August or November to seek a millage to fund a new community center. The cost for this new community center are anywhere between maybe 15 and $20 million, plus the annual operating costs to take care of the maintenance of that new building. Right now, they're looking at a ballpark area of $1 million to fund that. They've been looking at a variety of different sites where this new community center might be located. And because we have not been at the table for the discussion, they've been looking at sites that are more central to those three communities. If Salem were to express an interest in being involved in supporting a new community center, that would probably change the dynamics of the discussion they've had up to this point in time, and they might reconsider other sites that would then be potentially closer to Salem Township going forward. So right now, this information is just for your general review, just to bring you up to speed on what I have found from attending that meeting last month. They have another meeting scheduled next Monday that I will be attending. Because those three communities anteed monies into the pot, $15,000, if we wanted to have a voice in the process, we too would need to put in $15,000. By putting in $15,000, you not only have a vote at the table on what happens going forward, such as where the community center would be located. You'd also be able to have 2 or 3 people from the township be part of that committee. So there's 9 people that are currently part of the committee, plus the director of the South Lyon Recreation Authority and the director of the senior center. So there's essentially 11 people now, and I'm attending as a non-voting member just to find out what's going on so that I can report back to you folks tonight. As part of the learning curve to find out what's going on, the members of the South Lyon and Lyon Township boards have indicated that they would like to come and make a presentation to this board next month so that you can hear firsthand what their vision is, what the plans are at that point, based on what may transpire at next week's meeting, and that would bring you up to speed. A proposal that the South Lyon Area Recreational Authority has submitted for our consideration, that if we want to become part of the authority, that since they have been in existence for several years and have anteed up close to $767,000 since its inception, that they would ask Salem Township to pay a $50,000 entry to join the recreational authority. That could be paid over a 5-year period of time. Going forward, they provided some examples in the package that you've been given that would show, based on the last 3 years of Salem Township resident involvement, that we would only pay 2.6% of the funding on an annual basis, which is, I think, just around $1,500. So going forward, it would be based on the percentage of Salem Township residents that are involved in their programs. But then the kicker going forward is that if a millage is proposed and approved, and we want to be part of that process, then obviously our residents would be taxed anywhere between maybe a 0.75 or 1 mil, because obviously the finances change dramatically if our millage is included as part of the funding. They're looking at a probable 15 to 20-year bonding process to pay for this community center. So that's just the information I wanted to bring to you to make you aware of what's going on. Mr. Whitaker has agreed to have Mike Kramer and another individual come and present to the board next month. And then we would have the opportunity to make a decision after that, sometime in January, February, kind of a probably tentative deadline to make a final decision. Are we in or are we out?
Okay, any other questions? Would this be a potential tax on the entire township, or would this be in the Southline School District?
That's a great question, Mr. Treasurer, and that would be something that we would need to review with legal counsel. Right now, our inclination is that we would want to include the entire township, and that by joining the recreational authority, even though it's geared toward, let's say, the Southline School District, we could make it a requirement that, you know, it would include all of our residents, so that it's just not excluding, you know, people that live in the Plymouth Canton School District or the Ann Arbor School District. The other thing too that's been a topic of conversation in the past has been a perspective that, gee, if we do anything with our friends to the north, that to be fair, we need to look at, you know, what the Northville or Plymouth or even Ann Arbor have. And those issues have been investigated by Amy Allen at the South Lyon Recreational Authority, and there are residential requirements to be part of those organizations anyway. Obviously, non-residents would pay a higher rate, but those entities are not looking to include another municipality. They already exist for the benefit of, you know, the citizens of Northville, Plymouth, Canton, respectively.
Anybody else? Questions about this? Okay, I'm sure we'll have more further discussion about that. Okay.
Gary, we got somebody right here.
Has anybody on the board had a chance to review this? This is the Planning Commission, Open Spaces and Parks and Rec, and it's coming up for a public hearing next Monday, and it speaks in here specifically. There would be some valuable information in here concerning the demographics of Salem Township and how we have an aging population, and our population of children is declining, and just lots of good information that is current. It's current demographics on Salem Township. So this may be a very valuable thing for all of you to look into in relation to a Parks and Rec program with another community that has a large proportion of younger people compared to Salem Township.
Right.
If I can say, I've been looking at that at
Right.
length because I'm just about done reading it through. That's an excellent document. The people that did that, I mean, it's complete and there's so much information in it, and I actually was looking at the demographics today before the meeting.
All of you should have gotten a copy of this, or hopefully will get a copy of this very shortly, maybe after the public hearing next Monday. Good thing to read and look up. It gives you lots of valuable information about our community and what the people of the community have thought about in the past.
And again, I think whatever the board moving forward, there's ways to, as we have discussed before, I believe, there's ways to be involved with children who live in our community to help assist them in some ways, which I think we should be a part of. Okay, we're down here to public comment. So, Mr. Quigley, I see your hand up again.
Kind of like standing up once in a while. On this program, and I heard David mention at the last of his comments that these other activities in Plymouth and Northville and Novi and we're not available. How often have you asked that, and how recent is that? Because we have found out by questioning our partners to the east and west of us, they change their opinions on occasion. And I know I get brochures all the time for Northville and Novi. You get all kinds of brochures from them for their activity. So I know that they use that Northville address. Right. I don't know whether they ever get away with going down there and signing up, but I know they send it to me. So I think they're looking beyond just today I'm not sure that the community wants to travel from Gottfriedson Road out to Dixboro, or past someplace out there to participate in activities. But that's just my personal opinion. Thanks.
Thanks, Jim. I have a suggestion in a statement. On your agenda here, a lot of residents that, maybe first timers, whatever, your abbreviations for your DEQ and the SAW, maybe you can print it out what it stands for the upcoming people that want to come here, and then put your abbreviation. And also my statement is, last meeting I came to last month was, you said you were contacted by, or contacting Northfield Township about the sewer system in Hamlet, to see if they can't tap in. Tonight, nobody said anything about this. Is it under the table?
No, we're still waiting.
Still waiting?
Actually, there's a meeting Friday with them.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And again, just to clarify, the stuff that's on the board packet, if you do get on the website, all the information, documents, stuff that you don't have in your hand there is all available online. So you can see all the documents that we have up here tonight.
And one more quick question. Is there any way that Salem Township can do something about, we've called Washington County Road Commission about these roads. I know it's been bad out. He has called 3 times, I have called 3 times to deaf ears. Is there anything maybe?
Yeah, you know, again, this might not sound right to some people, but again, there's a foreman that is scheduled out in this area, and every time that I have called them, you know, they might not get to it right at the next day, but they, you know, it might not be grading the road, but they're filling in some of the potholes.
For some reason, they don't seem to be able to hit between 7 and 8 miles.
Okay, well, I'm saying is, I guess what I'm saying is, I think I've made it pretty clear to the residents in the town that if you have an issue, on a road that is really a major concern, you need to call me.
Okay.
And I've been available, and I've addressed everyone that has called in here. Huh?
I've talked to you, doesn't
So please call me.
I need to be excused. I have to go pick up a daughter
Okay.
Plymouth from
You're
orchestra,
excused.
and I'm single momming it this
Okay.
week.
You're
Thank you.
Okay, more public comment.
In regard to 8 Mile, have we obtained the board's position pertaining to the existing serious traffic issues?
We will address it, like I've had some conversations and would be glad to. I know, Charlotte, I've given you some information. You've come into my office and we have talked about it, and I'm glad to meet with you. And we do not own the roads, and we've gone over this, and there's a lot of good ideas. And I think there's ways of approaching, just to have also, as we have done, not to repeat myself, but of the major roads, all the roads, we have problems with traffic and speeding. We do, on all the roads. It's just not 8 Mile, it's a lot of roads. And we have we got people on Chubb Road here tonight that are very concerned about their roads and the speeds and everything. So we don't control the roads. It's the Washington County Road Commission, and we have gone to them. Territorial has been a disaster. We've gone to them, people have signed petitions, people have done, you know, have made some actions, and we've gone to the commissioners, we've gone before them, and we've worked some things out, but we have to do some legwork. It just can't be us here telling the road commission what to do, because they're not gonna do it.
But my main question to you is, Washington has said, we will listen, we will possibly fund, or try to obtain funding to get, all I want is a speed sign.
You're right, but if you read that letter, which I did read, it does say they will provide, or if we paid for the sign, or your community paid for the sign, it's still up to their discretion if they're gonna put it up or not. So I'm not gonna work backwards, I'm gonna work forwards. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna do the legwork, or you do the legwork, we will help you do the legwork, and we need to go before them and just follow their procedure. And that's what I've asked your community to do, and we will support it. But we have to go, they are the ones that were, it'd be like you owning your driveway and me telling you what you're gonna do with your driveway. We just need to tell them what our concerns are, what you have, but, you know, we gotta do go the proper channel.
So, yes, I mean, they said that they would do something if we got the funding.
No, but they said then they will use their discretion if they will do it or not.
Right.
So the issue is, they have to make the decision, if they are gonna change the speed limit on 8 Mile Road, are they gonna do it or aren't they? So,
But they don't have to do that. If they don't change the speed limit, all I want is it for, just
well,
have it posted.
again, if they are not gonna put the sign up, we need to know that they're gonna put the sign up if somebody provides the funding for it.
But that's what they're saying. I mean.
Right, well, they're not. If you read the letter, it does say. Yeah, well, I read the letter too, and the letter says that they will use their discretion if they will put it up or not.
Exactly, but if I get.
So I'm not gonna
support-
give you the money and not knowing what they're gonna do. I'm just talking about
All
me.
I need is that you guys will support me.
I
I'm
am gonna
back to that.
support you, and I've told you that. But I said
You're saying
that,
I'm going backward, I'm not.
no, I'm saying the process in going backwards is, first of all, if they're saying that they're gonna use their discretion, if they're gonna put a sign up or not, then we need to go before them and ask them, will they do it? And if they will, then either they're gonna provide the funding, or your community, or maybe the township is, and that's on a lot of our roads.
How do we go before them?
I told you to get the information, I told you to get petitions of the people that live in your community, what they want, what they need, and we can go before them, just like we did. I mean, we didn't go say, hey, we want our roads paved right now. We had to go and petition them. And,
Gary, is that part of 8 Mile, is that Oakland or is that Watchdog?
It's both.
Oh, they split it
From
both,
back
take
to
care of it.
Pontiac
Then you gotta go to
Trail.
Oakland County also.
Yeah,
right,
well, I got Oakland, that
Okay.
was nice.
Oh, sorry.
I know you had a meeting, there was a meeting here about the Pontiac Trail and 7 Mile for the turnaround.
the roundabout?
Roundabout, I was wondering if you could tell us what the outcome of that was.
I actually have a meeting with them on Friday at around 10 o'clock, I believe it is. They're gonna be here. I'm just not real happy how they have gone down, and I've let them know about it. To me, I was at the public hearing. I'm not against roundabouts. I don't sort of like them, but I mean, you know, but some people, I mean, if you do the studies, watch the studies, how they presented it, it does, they have less accidents than they do if they put a red light up, because you approach them, you're very cautious, and they don't have the accidents, so I'm just saying that's their data that they show you. The problem I have at 7 and Pontiac Trail, number one, the township didn't know anything about it. They were, and again, this is just another thing with the road commission, you know, they own the roads, and so we had, people started calling here, asking questions about what's going on, you know. I heard up at one of the party stores having coffee, what they were doing. That's how I learned about it. And, you know, and so when they came and met with us, before they had the public hearing, I just flat out asked them, well, what do the people feel? What does the party store feel? And what do the people around there feel? And their, answer was that they had approached them and talked to them, and it seemed like everybody was on board with it. So then, the day of the public hearing, I received a call from them and saying it's kind of a little different story. A lot of the residents were not happy about it, and that they had not, I thought they had actually physically talked to the people who are going to be really affected by it. So, again, I'm not an engineer, but I'm just thinking I don't know how many of you travel them roads during the peak hours. It does back up at 7 and Pontiac Trail during rush hour. People coming from South Lyon that are going to work towards Ann Arbor, it backs up, and then it gets up to Territorial, and it backs up to Brookville almost. So all they're going to do is just going to
put the traffic, move it, it's gonna maybe stop the congestion at 7 and Piney Trail, but it's gonna move the traffic at both ends of the township, only going to create more of a backup. So to me, basically, it's not road commission money, it's grant money that's, as it's explained to us, that they have to use it for roundabouts because it's about road emissions, the quality of air, and it has to be directed to roundabouts and nothing else, so it can't be, so that's, so to me, it's kind of like they got this grant money, they plopped it right there, and there's really been not a real study on it. So they're coming in on Friday, and we're gonna have some further discussion on it, because it needs to be more planning, maybe get started at one end, maybe down at Dixboro, put two, one at Dixboro and the North Territorial, move the traffic. The other problem they're gonna have is, I don't know how many go through South Lyon, it's just crazy. I mean, no matter if they put a roundabout, they're already backing up to the light, so we're gonna have a worse problem there.
Thank you.
So, all right. Okay, lots of hands, I like it, so, all right, Dan?
I just want to make a brief comment. Like I was in Washington DC, and they have the roundabouts there for years, and they really work well, but they encompass several streets. So you're on it for a while, and you have a time to make your decision, and it really moves the traffic through multiple roads. What they're doing here around the Ann Arbor area and everything, they're putting these roundabouts in, and they're so small that you have to make instant decisions, and people are coming on. I mean, you're not on it for a second, but you're not making a decision, and I think I just don't care for them.
Yeah. Okay, let's go over on this side, Pat?
At a red blinker light, a four-way stop, if people don't know how to use that, and they're not courteous, they're not gonna be any better in a roundabout. I think it's gonna be much worse.
Yeah.
I told the road commission that too, but.
Right. Okay.
What they say, Pat?
Too bad we're doing it
Yeah.
anyway.
All right, listen, everybody, pay attention, please. Okay.
I'm just a little confused, Gary, and I need a little clarification.
Okay.
You mentioned a petition, and you mentioned our community. I'm not really sure where you're going with that. When you say our community, are you specifically saying Northville Crossing? Or are we talking all of Salem? Because this is not just something that affects people who live in Northville Crossing. I mean, this affects anybody in Salem, who are going down 8 Mile Road, and they're having to deal with this horrible, horrible situation. So like I said, just need a little clarification as to what you meant by getting a petition in our community.
I explained it to Charlotte before, if there are enough people in your community that that are behind this and have a real concern of what's going on there, and it would help, and we can help you go to the commissioners up there, and I will help you do whatever we can to make it happen.
So you're saying basically to try to start a petition then in Northville Crossings?
Right, I would start there.
With specificity, what you want. You
That-
have to put
what would
down
happen
definitely
if
what
I
you want.
sent the packet that I gave each of you to the Oakland and Washtenaw Commission? Would that help at all?
Right, I would say that too. I mean, I'll help, we set up the meeting, we can do that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's go, how about, Bud, how many times are you gonna speak tonight? Go ahead, go ahead. All right.
Reason why
Bonnie, you're next. Okay.
Reason why I'm saying is, same as what she's talking about, Charlotte and them talking about the traffic. In meetings in the past, we've always had a Washtenaw County Road Commission representative here at these meetings to answer questions. So my suggestion is if we get us, petition, whatever, hand it to this guy and let him answer some of the questions that the board can't answer.
I'm dealing with two. I'm dealing with two engineers, one from Washtenaw and one from Oakland.
But let somebody from there come, we can discuss the roads, the speed with this guy. That's all I say.
If we do that, should you invite them, or do I invite them to come, or does it need to be put on an agenda, or how do we do this properly?
They usually come once a year, and we can have a discussion, but again, we can help facilitate it, so.
Okay, so would you suggest that I send this packet to each of the commissioners on the Oakland and Washtenaw and invite them to the next meeting or to a meeting of their choice?
I would go there,
Oh,
Okay.
but you call me, we can have a discussion and go forward. Okay, Bonnie?
Okay, my turn. First of all, there's two things I want to say. One, the Brighton area people went directly to their board and they had them stop a revision of all of their roads, and they had it in increments, and when they found out that they were going to put in roundabouts, they had it stopped and it was done. They even petitioned to have some taken out. Second of all, if they put in that roundabout there is absolutely no way, no stopping from Territorial to 8 Mile when it's not peak time, and it's gonna cost us, our county policeman is going to be out there all the time because it'll be a raceway. There is no stop signs, there's no anything between one end of the township and the other.
Okay. All right. Linda?
I want to go back and address this recreation committee. We talk about that there's some inequity for Salem residents to go play. That's been true for all of us who raised our children here. But this is a taxing authority. And if you join it, Salem Township doesn't get a vote whether we want to tax or not because it's a district at large. And I can tell you right now how it's going to go. South Lyon has almost triple the population that Salem has. Green Oak has at least double. Lyon Township probably has triple to quadruple. So when Salem Township goes to vote, and they vote no, just like Precinct 1 did, at the last election on the school millage renewal, Precinct 1 voted it down. Pretty good indication of how Salem Township votes for millages. They vote it down. But it's going to be paid anyways because we're such a small component from the South Lyon School District. And it's going to be the same thing for the Recreation Authority. And when you're not a property owner, you rent property or you live somewhere else, it's not important to you because you don't pay that additional 1 mil of tax. For the average person in this room, they will pay more in tax than they would to have a child involved in 3 or 4 sports. That's ludicrous. And I think it's extremely dangerous, the road that this board is taking, to want to be part of that authority. There's a reason why every board, whether you, and we're not talking 1 board or 2 boards, we're talking about radical differences between boards, but every board has said, no, we're not going to do this, and they've said no, because they understand that the people of Salem don't want to support more tax. You said that these people meet, currently they play on school property. I pay 10.8 mils of school debt for school property. That's what everyone in the South Lyon School District pays. I'm already paying for the ball fields, for the swimming pools. There's no reason why we should be taxed out here yet again, and I would caution the board. And Gary, you and I have talked, I'm all for some way to help young families, all for some way to help senior citizens, but to have us belong to a taxing authority in which we're 1/10 or less of the potential voters is wrong. Thank you.
Very well said, Linda.
Well, let me just make one comment on that. First of all, again, we are a new board up here, been here for a year, almost a year. But any of these board discussions are simply that, are discussions that people, now, again, Linda, your comments are very appreciated, and I am probably on board the way you think. But at the same time, there are people that are they think that they need something. But again, I think that, I don't want to say we're not going to have board discussion up here on issues that come before us. This is one thing that comes before us. We need to have open discussion, and that's what we want to do, and I think that's healthy. So it's not that we are making, and we want comments like Linda's comments and people's comments, and we do cherish the opinion and moving forward with anything that we have talked about. And I am for whatever we can do to help with our children in our township, and I think we do need to do something. Okay, next.
Am I
David, that the Salem kids would be able to go to this recreation, but they would have to pay more? They would have to pay a fee, or they wouldn't be welcome at all?
Well, they're welcome today, they just have to pay a higher fee
Okay,
today.
because like the library, I've had people that were out of the district that pay to go to the library that pay less than what I pay in my taxes for our library. So I don't see the advantage. You know what I'm saying? No.
Okay, a couple of hands over here. Pat?
My question goes along the same lines as hers. What is the comparison if we paid $1 compared to the surcharge that a child has to pay to use the facilities?
Yeah, that's some study that,
I mean, it's probably a whole lot less.
well, I'm sure it would be.
And then the old people, or I would say the old people, because we're gonna have a senior citizen, but the people that say they are middle-aged and they don't have kids, and they don't have to pay for it.
Right. All right, Sandy?
Just a real quick question. The closings that are occurring around Christmas and New Year's, is that going to be just time off for everybody, almost like a furlough kind of time? Or is that going to be additional paid days for our employees at the township? Because I know you've changed their hours, so I don't know what their compensation would be for those additional days. But if you're talking about paying them for those additional days, that means that you have just increased their paid days off 3.5 days compared to what their employee manual calls for, and that's about a 25 to 30% increase in paid days off. So do you know it? Have you determined, since you already voted on it to approve it, have you determined what the compensation will be, or will there be no compensation?
Well, there was 28 hours, and where's that sheet? Chris?
Because I know they get paid for New Year's Day, they get paid for Christmas Day, and they get paid for half a day on Christmas Eve. But you're talking about 3.5 days in addition to that time off.
We gotta work for Salem Township.
I'm just curious, has that been determined, or?
Good thinking.
I'll have to. Right, they all work different days.
And that's what I'm saying, what's the formula going to be? Because now they're not all 40-hour-a-week people, so how are you going to compensate them? Or are you not going to and just consider it furlough days, very similar to some other municipalities when they close for the day, like the library, like other cities and that?
It's like furlough days, but it's 28, but they still have 28 hours that they can work a week.
So we're going to pay them 28 hours each of those weeks, so you're saying, even though we're going to be closed for 6 days?
They're going to be working 28 hours during.
It's really up to 28 hours.
Right, but, okay, all I could ask is, could you please think that through? Because if you only have 2 days of the week to work, that does not add up to 28 hours per week, even with a paid holiday. So, okay. One other question concerning the retirement. I don't think there ever was a vote on that motion, so have we tabled that, or what have we done concerning the retirement in Raymond?
That was just for discussion.
Oh, that was,
on the
okay.
agenda.
You didn't, I thought you made a motion, okay, I apologize. Okay. Yeah, so I'm saying I didn't.
For discussion. Only other.
Yeah, Gary, as of this time, how many board members have actually went out and looked at that property and walked that property that they proposed to buy? I mean, you guys walked all over it, just not sitting by the road?
I can't even find it.
You don't wanna find it, it's not that it's properly.
Come on over, I'll show it to you.
Yeah, Gary will take you out to lunch.
That's right, that's right. Everybody's lunch.
Next Monday morning? You wanna go to Gary's Monday morning?
Let's go.
There you go, Pat, Monday morning, go to Gary's house. You can go out to lunch and
On the,
take your boots. I mean, take your boots, because you're stuck in the mud.
deal, just listen, has that gone out for bid in the past few years or something? I mean, because it sounds like we would negotiated a $400 lesser price or a $200 lesser price. Well, if there's comparison bids and another thing, I mean, I used to plow this place at one time, and I don't think it's grown, maybe the parking lot over there. But the reason I backed out of it was in all exclusive. And if you look at, I mean, just, I don't want the contract, I don't want to deal with it, but $7,000 is a lot of money, and if you're in an all-inclusive, probably you're wasting, 2 years ago, we plowed snow, one time? So that's money banked. I mean, unless you're a retiree or on a tight budget, you're paying for materials and items that don't get used.
I think our plan is next year as far as the maintenance on the grass and everything that we are going out for bid on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to mess with it, but I'm just saying it's astronomical numbers.
But it has been bid out.
Spend it.
Yeah, well, it just seemed awful weird that he said, well, they come down a couple $100, they come down, negotiated $300 or $400. Well, what's everybody else gonna do to that?
Are you gonna take me out for a hot?
All right, thank you. That much money.
$7,000.
Hey, your attention, please.
When I made a comment in public comment, you had a rebuttal. I want to have a rebuttal now,
Okay.
your rebuttal.
All right.
When I made a comment, it was to the board discussion, and I understood it was board discussion. And then part of your rebuttal was that there are young families that want this. We're all aware of that. Many of us in this room had young families once, and we paid those fees for our children. And what I'm suggesting is that we not join this authority, put it to a vote of the people before we get in where we're taxed, and ask us if we want to join. That's what I'm saying. I think it's an appropriate place to have it. It is public comment. It's my place to speak on the record. And I didn't really feel that there was some reason to rebut what I had said. I thought it was a very fair comment.
I didn't say it was not a fair comment. I just said that we are up here to have discussion on stuff that comes to the table, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah, but Gary, you did treat her sort of rough.
Anyway, there shouldn't be discussion. I think I just weighed in my opinion.
Okay. Okay, any other comment?
I'm Joy Coyle. I want to clarify that the Four Tracks purchase agreement, we're talking about the possible recreational area at 5 and Salem Road, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. We own the farm that borders that land to the west along 5 Mile. And I guess one of the reasons I came tonight was to hear a little bit more about the possible future plans, what's envisioned. My daughter actually owns part of that border now, and has our 2 grandkids, 2 of them living here in the township and enjoying the rural life. So we've had several family discussions about how we feel, and I think we're all leaning very positive to the idea of having light use recreational area, that would be preserved. I don't think we like the idea. In fact, I had a conversation with my son-in-law just before coming here, and knowing that parcel is zoned 1 acre right now, it certainly in their eyes, they would prefer not to see 1 acre homes on that site. Our parcel, excuse me?
Oh, see Dave Prince sleeping up there.
Our parcel to the west is zone 5 acre residential estate. So I guess I'd like to hear just a little bit more from the board in general on, I know we're coming in a little bit late on the discussion, but on what you're visualizing and what might happen.
Okay. We've been trying to communicate with, through the newsletter, and I think we've had some discussions on the phone about it. And, in moving forward, it's just a beautiful piece of property. I think all of us agree on it. And I think there is, it does, because of what we have talked before about as far as, it perks, it's got a lot of, the creek on it, everything that we have discussed in the past about it is a great asset for the township to have. And I don't think, not again, and again, I say this, I'm not one that is against development, but I am concerned about controlled development, and that when you look at that piece and you think of what could be possibly put in there, I don't think that's what residents and the opinions of people that they want. And because of the past board that created this land preservation board and gave them the task to do this, this is just one of the options that have come up of, what do we do? Let's put our money where our mouth is. It's something that this would preserve a beautiful piece of property to use for public use. So,
there are at least 2 pair of sand cranes that live there in the front to the west, and we watch them quite often. It's, and the way it's been used that affects my daughter and son-in-law ever since they built their house there on the corner. Our farm begins right there at Curry and 5 Mile and comes west. And we gave them a few acres of that front corner. So, the people that own that rent, I believe, and then the renters allow umpteen hunters for target practice. And they do their target practice, right next, how many acres are there? 230, 250. And they do their target practice right next to my daughter and son-in-law's property there. And continually, it bothers the children, the dog goes nuts. And at this time of year, they don't even hardly let their dog out without a lot of supervision. It's been tough. So we would certainly, I think, be welcome to, the only question that came up in our family, and I know I asked you, Gary, on the phone, was we wondered if it would be fenced. If that is a common thing with parks or not, and you didn't seem to think so.
I remember somebody had made a comment, this is something, if the township decides to purchase this, that, it's more like baby steps going forward to exactly what to do. It's not like, you go right in there. Our parks and recs, moving that forward to, apply for grant monies or whatever, how that is going to be developed in the future.
So I guess I wanted to come and we wanted to just express our approval so far. I guess it sounds like something that we would like to have next to us compared to 1 acre homes.
Okay, thank you. O'Neill?
Gary, weren't you planning on putting a shooting range in there if you got the property?
Good one, O'Neill. As long as we can charge. Bonnie?
I have to ask somebody to get me unconfused. You guys
Bonnie's
said
been away
that if
60
you bought
years.
this, no comments on it. If you bought this, that you would put restrictions on the deed so nobody can do anything with it for X number of years. And then you said it would be a great asset for the township to have because we could use it if we got in trouble and we could use it as collateral. How can you use it as collateral if you restricted the deed? And how could you restrict the deed without, how could both things be true?
Well, there's ways of doing it. We can.
That's what I'm asking.
Well, I'm saying we can have the property and have it as a township owned. I think we had many discussions about getting agencies to contribute to it, which would buy the development rights off of it. Therefore, it would be preserved. But at that point,
it would be no good as collateral, right?
are you asking me a question? I'd be glad to ask. Okay. So at that point, if we do get that kind of money from there and we sell the development rights, it becomes less of an asset for the township. So if we buy it outright, it means it would be a bigger asset. If
What
we
kind of
put
an asset,
something,
though?
if we put something down in writing, or, you know, I don't, we had talked as just board discussion of having an ordinance created. Just, let me finish. If I'm saying if we have an ordinance that we create that says that this is gonna be preserved for so many years or whatever, or we just put something up. I think Linda had a suggestion about having it, just to create a document that says that if anything ever changed on that property, as the township owns it, that it would have to be a vote of the people to change it.
That's simple.
That
Yeah.
didn't quite answer my question.
Well, I'm just,
I'll take it.
okay,
I'll ask you later.
okay. All right. All right, anybody else? I really do, you know, I hope it doesn't become, I really do appreciate the comments of the people here, and I do appreciate,
One last question, Gary. When you do purchase this property, which seems that you're going to do it no matter what.
that's your
Okay,
opinion,
well,
okay?
it's gonna happen,
That's
we know
fine.
it. How fast after you purchase it are you gonna do something with it? Or is it gonna lay vacant for the next 10 years?
It could be, that's what we do plan to do, it's being farmed now, and I'm sure it's gonna be farmed in the future. So, we decide.
They had step by step, other property, where are you gonna do?
A month from now, you don't even know.
But again, I do appreciate your comments and input, and we do appreciate seeing new faces, and, because it is fun to meet some new people. And again, at this, you know, the Thanksgiving time, we wish every one of you and your families happy Thanksgiving. And it is a great town to live in. I mean, you know, when you stop and think about how thankful all of us that own property in Salem Township, how thankful, I mean, I know I am, and I just appreciate, and again, I am thankful to be the Salem Township Supervisor and have the support of a lot of people, and it's been a great first year, and we do appreciate and hope that every one of you have a great Thanksgiving and your families. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks, Gary.
Pete what? Nice to meet you, Joy. My husband Brad here.